Now, everybody aboard?
Yeah, red flag's up.
Quick.
One man with a formidable enemy, the sea. Roland Morris of Penzance, probably the last of a great line of British buccaneers, entertains no romantic notions about the sea.
Well, when people say they love the sea, I have to smile, because just look at that. That sea is pounding those rocks, which in, say, 5,000 years' time will not be there. The sea is grabbing all the time. It's grabbing those rocks, it's wearing them away, and that is what I first thought about the sea when I was a youngster. It takes ships, grabs them, it grabs the men on them, and that was what gave me an impulse to start diving. If only I could get something back, which the sea had taken. The sea is, we all know, the sea is cruel, but see what it did to the fast-net yachtsman. I mean, it'll do that at a drop of a hat. The sea will take you, it'll take anything. It's got no conscience or anything else. It's, personally, I hate and detest it, loathe it.
And down the years, Roland Morris has attacked the sea head-on. Working exclusively in southwestern waters, he has led and financed teams of divers in an unremitting drive to restore to man what the sea has taken from him. Hundreds of square acres of seabed have been scrutinized and scoured.
Has the sea done anything to you personally?
It certainly has, yes. I lost one of my boys from the sea. He drowned in the sea. A thing that I never, ever thought would happen to me. But it did, and of course, the sea's won up on me. I look on it as an enemy. You've got to be so careful. And you'll never win. Nobody will ever win if they work on or under the sea.
How many years ago is it now when your son was drowned?
15 years, sir. Yes. Well done, I think that's absolutely marvellous. Marvellous. 20 years ago, it's all of 20 years ago, We set out to find 5 underwater men of war, which we have known of ever since we were youngsters. Mind you, the team has changed over the years, don't forget, but we still have the old standbys. We call on them if we want them. And during those 20 years, we did find and identify 5 underwater wrecks. And boy, what adventures they gave us. They really did. Nothing remains as it has sunk. You know, the original has changed so much. It's not like the Mary Rose, who were very lucky to have a protected vessel. Our wrecks are exposed to the most violent seas that you could never imagine. Everything is broken, bent, or battered. Look at this silver teapot. It was, at one time, a graceful little teapot, which the captain used at his table.
Which ship would that come from?
This came off the Colossus, HMS Colossus. And
how old is it?
Well, she went down in 1798. When coins sink to the seabed, you don't see lovely silver articles lying in the sand. You see pebbles, and the diver has got to realize that he's got to look at everything. I was very lucky because my perambulations over the seabed were slow. I had to lean forward as if I was leaning against an 8-force wind, say a gale. And now they swim easily over, and they can miss things. They must look at everything. You see, crack them open. The sea has corroded them. So every pebble is terribly important. Silver is beautiful, as you can see. I mean, they've been under the sea since 1707. And gold is a noble metal. Gold will not corrode. You can put gold in acid and all sorts of things, and it'll last. I remember well the first gold coin we found on Sir Clairsley Chevel's association, his flagship, from which we got quite an amount of treasure, of which we're not frightfully proud, actually, because we got a lot of other very valuable things, such as guns. But I remember a diver coming up with a gold coin in his hand, and it was just as if it had been minted. And he said, believe it or not, he said, I found that lying on top of an iron cannon. He said, it had probably been wafted there by the tide, taken up and just laid gently on there, and he said, there it was. And he said, the feeling I got as if was Sir Clairsley had put it there, and there you are, boy, there's your starters. We were the first to find treasure, and the news was flashed around the world in minutes. The word at that time was treasure, treasure, treasure. For land's sake, don't drop it.
Oh, I was glad I come today, Roy. Don't drop that.
Oh, thank you.
What do you think of that one, huh?
Oh, well, we took well tonight.
Champagne tonight, Mark. On you, eh?
Yes.
on someone.
Oh, magnificent. Lovely, lovely, lovely.
This is your personal treasure chest.
Yes. Yes, it's a real one, you know. It's a real German chest. And
This thing's pretty full.
yes, well, it should be. We've been working hard enough for over the years.
Just how many coins have you brought up from the sea?
Well, I won't say how many, but we'll say several hundredweight, shall we?
Now, this is like pirate's treasure, isn't it? What sort of coins do you have?
Pieces of 8 are the ones that fascinated me when I first started bringing them up. We've got, I believe I got one here, a gold coin worth £800, I suppose.
Really?
It's an 8 reals. Beautiful coin.
Spanish?
Mark, yeah, Spanish. Mark found that on the Romney site. And it's lovely. It's really heavy.
Any more gold?
Gold, yes. Lots of gold. They're all Reese pieces. But I must show you another little treasure we have. You know when a man puts his money together like this and sort of works out the crowns from the half crowns, like that, for instance. You see, you would do that. Well, one of the sailors on board the association did that. Probably an hour or two before she struck, thought, right, I've got so much money to go home with. And he put it in his pocket. And that is what happened. In his trouser pocket, he drowned, and of course, that was his savings. So I think that's very sad, very sad. Just imagine what those pockets of, and the beer that's bought, and the women, and so on. The very sound of them is terrific. They got a sound. I think sometimes I wake up in the night and I hear this, you know, and I feel very good. How's that?
That's marvellous.
Roland Morris has recovered enough relics to stock a celebrated private museum in Penzance, which has become an established tourist attraction. And he personally restores many sea-damaged works of art.
I started diving, I suppose, when I was about 20, and that would have been about 1927.
27?
Way back. I'm 73. I nearly said 74. 73, really? You see? So, you see, I get on with stuff like this.
When was the first time you went underwater?
When I was 18, I had my first lesson in Penzance Harbour in the helmeted suit. I gave a couple of chaps a few pints, and they let me go down in the harbour. Unfortunately, on my suit there was what they call a spitcock. This is the thing. If your front glass misted over, which mine very often did, because I used to get so nervous, you suck in a mouthful of salt water and squirt it over the glass. That clears it, you see. And they never told me anything about this. I didn't know anything about it at all. And all the time I was walking around the harbour, the water was bubbling in or seeping into my suit, and it gradually got up to here. I didn't know it. And when they asked me to come, or when they gave me the signal to come up, I couldn't. I just filled my air with, well, all I could fill was my helmet with compressed air, you see. And they realised, so they sent down the derrick wire from with the winch and hauled me up, you see. I put the wire around me, and they hauled me up. And then they found that they had to haul me up by my feet to let the water out. I took my helmet off and the glass, and there I was swinging up like a shark, you see, the water pouring out over my neck.
And that was your first...
And then they carefully informed me that if I'd stumbled and fallen underwater, I would have drowned inside my suit. So that didn't help, really.
Right, you are, ladies and gentlemen. Lot number one, then, is a double sheave block with its eye. Yes, there it is. Would you say £5 for that one, please? Put it in. Somebody say £5 for it.
To finance his war with the sea, Roland occasionally sells some of his underwater harvest, and his team do bring up a bewildering variety of nautical bric-a-brac.
The 17th century Spanish metal helmet. The rim is riveted. Yes, £20 thread. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, at £90 in, 100 or not, all done at £90. 5, if you like. Ship's brass, telegraph, Jean Gouget, £50, 40, 50, 50, 60, at £50, 60 now. Carved figurehead of a young woman in green dress and gilded star decorations from the Julien Marie, large girl. Say £500 thread, 500, 600 now. 19th century flintlock pistol, there it is, carved walnut mounts, brass pommel. Now the carved figurehead of a young woman with the brown hair. Yes, another nice figurehead there. Now the double-headed equestrian figurehead probably came off the Queen Anne. £500 for it. 500, 750, 750, 1,000, 1,200, 1,200, 1,400, 1,400, 1,600, 1,600, 1,800, 2,000, at £1,800 now. 2,000 I want. At 2,000, 2,000, 200, 2,200, 2,300 if you like. At 2,200, 2,300, 2,400, no, 2,300.
The auctioneer's gavel is often preceded by the blacksmith's hammer. Roland is an expert on the mechanics of 18th and 19th century ships of the line and can draw detailed plans to replace corroded parts.
Putting that round. This comes off the bulwarks of on the side of the boat, sure. That's the job he's done now, is put that there, see? You know, they lost more men behind the guns than they did in front.
Perhaps his special affection is reserved for naval guns. He's recovered them by the score and invariably tries to bring them back to full life.
Johnny, just do it. Honey.
That's there. I don't think you can get it more than that.
I call that a lovely job. Suck it on. Go around the other side. That's absolutely super.
No, that's all right, isn't it?
She's all ready to go.
Yep.
Ready indeed to fight again as it once did against the French and Spanish men of war.
Now we are ready for the langage, all of it.
Going to put all that in,
Well,
Roland?
no, put a few bits in just to make a few whistling noises.
Yeah. Not a cannonball, Roland.
No, this is langrage. This is horseshoe nails cut up and even bits of horseshoe. And
Yeah.
stick it all in.
Vicious looking things, isn't they?
This one we used 200 years ago.
Yeah. This is the French invention. It would be, wouldn't it? That's right. Lovely. Now. Oh, we want the rammer again, please, Del.
All right. Take it just a little drop now, Roland.
Now we got to primer, Mike.
Right.
This is best kind, is it?
This is the very best you can get.
5X, 4 gold medals.
This was the first tin we brought up off the Colossus, you know. And it's amazingly dry, isn't it? You imagine doing this for the even deck. And...
Well, fancy with the enemy approaching, you know, at
yeah.
about 10 knots. This should be a whizzer.
Fire.
Fire?
Yeah.
Fire! Oh, misfire. Well, you can't complain about that, can you? Hey? Honestly, you can't complain. That's a... Well,
Did that make a rear?
we'll have to do that again.
Oh, she's all right.
Is she hot?
No, she's all right. Let's go.
Ooh,
I think you mentioned that.
I believe it's cured my deafness.
You mentioned that these guns are sometimes more.
Can't hear a word.
With a Black & Decker workmate, you can plane in straight lines, saw wood easily and accurately, hold awkward jobs firmly in position, drill holes in the right places, and then store it out of the way. The Black & Decker workmate. How much longer can you scrape by without one?
The most beautiful thing you wear is probably your skin. For beauty this delicate, the Lady Brawn Elegance has a shaving foil refined with platinum. Nothing glides over your skin more gently. Our trimmers are curved where your skin curves, straight where your skin is straight. Lady Brawn Elegance, always with a touch of platinum.
It's got to be curries for gifts that click with everyone. This Moulinex Multi-Chef is just £39.95.
Yes, please.
And the Super Sonar is an automatic choice.
Oh, nice.
Have tea in bed with Russell Hobbs on Christmas morning.
Oh, lovely.
Hoover's Super Steam Iron is only £12.95.
Super.
Any gift can be exchanged up to 14 days after Christmas. And there's our price promise. That's why we're the electrical people where everything clicks.
Now, loosen up with musk. Warmer, wilder, and altogether more musk. The hot favorite from denim. New musk for the man who doesn't have to try too hard.
All this week, double stamps on most purchases from your co-op. Call in tomorrow at your co-op for double stamps. All this week, Plymouth and South Devon, of course.
It's in the air, something's in the air. L'air du temps, what a lovely feeling.
L'air du temps, the fragrance as romantic as the dreams a woman dreams.
It's in the air.
L'air du temps, the romantic perfume. Nina Ricci, Paris.
Let the warmth come through.
Share the emotional atmosphere of the world's most famous musical event with KTEL's new album of highlights of this year's Last Night of the Proms. The Isles of Scilly. For Roland Morris, there is no richer hunting ground in British waters. The seabed is littered with wrecks. Entire fleets have perished here.
Make a line fast, and apparently Mark's over there now anyway.
I think we'll be all right today. I think we're getting up today.
Oh, yeah.
I bet the trawler will have a sling or two, won't he?
For years, Roland kept a team of divers permanently stationed in the Scillies on a ceaseless underwater patrol. It led to the location and recovery of the historically priceless second Hamilton collection of ancient pottery. Lady Hamilton, Lord Nelson's mistress, entrusted it to Admiral Sir Cloudesley Chauvel as he set sail for England. He never arrived. Sir Cloudesley made a slight error of navigation, and his squadron collided with the Isles of Scilly.
So, you were down yesterday, did you see any sign of one? Can you locate?
The fragments of pottery were painstakingly picked out of the silt by Roland's team and pieced together by the British Museum.
Right. And the visibility about a couple of ton, aren't they? That's underwater.
I should think so, yes.
Yeah.
On this trip, Roland seeks one of the Admiral's cannon. His divers have seen it, but up to now the sea has defeated all attempts to bring it to the surface. They have rough bearings on its position, but there are problems. One impediment is seaweed. Forests of the stuff flourish on this seabed, obscuring the diver's view.
Bring it along this way, I should, outside.
Who can, looks like all sorts in this, Roland.
No, I don't think we got much of a find here. We're still in line.
I reckon that would probably come off there a few times. Got it?
That's it, Roland. Good.
That can go overboard, can it?
Shall I just lose it again now?
Yeah, chuck it over. Of course, if this was valuable, we wouldn't be doing it this way. We would be squeezing it in a press.
It's not a very pleasant smell either, is it?
It isn't very. You notice it smells of gunpowder?
That's a round shot in there.
Is there?
Yeah.
So there is, I believe.
Well, I say there is. It looks very much like it might be.
Oh,
I see. Done it.
Well done.
Let's do that off the side there.
Oh, that's a nice one, Rowley, yeah.
Everything, you know. Everything was nice.
Crikey, I wouldn't have walked very far with one of these.
Isn't that lovely?
I wouldn't have caught that in the gut, I must admit. Actually, it's a cracker, isn't it?
Yeah, beautiful.
This is where we moved from, Mark. We moved from there to approximately...
Interesting relics are found, but the cannon Roland came for remains elusive.
You have problems.
We have problems, yes. When the cannons were originally found, all the weed was cut away from them, but consequently, with the sea and one thing and another, that's taken all that up. So we've got to relocate these, and unless you drop exactly on top of them, it's a hell of a job.
Dive.
It's not possible that other divers have been down there.
No.
Do you ever have any problems, Paul?
Not now. The new act has been in since 1973. So no, we don't get any problems now.
What did you have before?
Oh, did we? Yeah.
Yeah, what happened?
Oh, terrible. Oh, the cowboys were really on our trail. We find the wrecks and they come and dive on them. But you don't get that now.
What sort of trouble did you have?
Well, on the association, we actually, there was one day when we had 7 teams diving on one wreck.
One particular day on the association, we went down and we'd been working a gully the previous day, it was several days prior to that. And one of the other divers working with me was just in front of me, and he happened to see a member of another group down there with his head down in our hole. And before I didn't even think, and had I thought, I probably wouldn't have stopped him, but before I could stop him, the one I was with went in and pulled the other guy's mask off and his mouthpiece out and forced him to head for the sky. Not very good diving practice in 80 foot of water, but it had the desired effect.
Must have been half a dozen press boats.
Yeah.
Going around, including these 7 other teams. They all had little pork pie hats on, you know, all these pressmen, and they frightfully out of place. It was quite exciting at the time. It was like a regatta, except underneath it was quite serious, really. It was all sorts of things happening.
Finally, persistence pays off. The cannon is located.
Yeah, we're right on top of it. We'll come back now.
We don't want you back.
It's like a double one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit.
Is the echo coming through the hull?
As long as it's not the water.
It takes an explosive charge to persuade the sea to finally part with it, but another battle is won. And a boat with lifting gear is chartered.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes. Oh, she's small. She's smaller than I thought.
Yes. It was a lovely gun.
That's super. That's superb.
Isn't that a beauty?
Yeah, that's lovely.
Put up there in one of the pins, too.
It's fine, I think.
There's markings on the side here, look, Roland.
Steady.
Watch yourself. Look, there's a 6 and 0 there.
Lovely job. All right. Yes. See this. 9, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a 9. That's an 0.
Or
No, I think that's a circle, a 9.
Yeah. And there must be something
There's
else
probably
there.
another figure there, I should think.
Yeah, well, that's surely good, isn't it, boy? Eh? Shake hands.
Yeah, that's first class.
Roland Morris never tires of the taste of victory. He is unable to resist starting work on restoration immediately.
That's better. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, I'm not really sure. It's,
Is that part of your metal? Is that? It's a lovely stink, isn't it?
Not all Roland's exploits have been underwater, not quite. Frequently, he has been called by owners and insurance companies to recover items from ships on the point of sinking. Perhaps the most memorable concerned the Bima City, which broke her back on the North Cornish coast in the winter of 1936. Lloyd's of London desperately wanted the ship's papers and a special gyro compass. At great personal risk, Roland brought them ashore. But it was a vessel of 5,600 tons, and the cargo was immense.
I don't think I shall ever see such a sight again in all my life, because it was an enormous hold. And all I could see were thousands and thousands of highly coloured tins with labels of every description and colour. They were just in one huge mass, thousands upon thousands. Well, then, the next day, the salvage officer came on board. He came over our Blondin Wire, which greatly daring, I can tell you. And he said, "You've done a most magnificent job. We've got this, just what we promised the owners, and we can't do any more. So I held up one of these swollen tins. I managed to make sure it was swollen and battered. I said, well, what are we going to do with this lot? I said, look at it. It's you know, it's terrible. It's all in the way. It's cluttering up everything. He said, we're not interested. We don't care a damn about it. He said, I said, well, could we have some? You should have them. Bloody lot, if you like. And so those few words gave us the go-ahead for one of the most fantastic projects I've ever been concerned with. We got off literally scores of thousands of tins. We paid the crew by giving them 48 tins of sockeye salmon a day. God knows what they did, but of course they sold them, I suppose. For about the next 3 or 4 months, we didn't use any ready cash. We paid for everything with tins of salmon, tins of fruit, go to a garage for fill up with petrol, go to the boot, take out a couple of dozen tins of fruit or whatever they wanted. And this is what happened throughout the whole of the southwest of Cornwall. St Ives, of course, was the centre of it. Our headquarters was the sloop. I was very friendly with the proprietor then and his lovely daughter. We made another store out on the main road to Zena, sort of a council yard, and we built a very large shed of cases of fruit and salmon. People in the know would lift back the tarpaulin and enter. It's like entering the pyramids, you know. The walls were 10 feet thick, and you went through this passage, and inside were our headquarters, you see. It was laughable, really, when the tins came up without labels, which the lower tins did. Of course, the labels were all in a mass at the bottom of the crates. You could tell the contents by the swish or the swoosh or the plonk inside if you shook them. And very often we'd sell these mystery tins without making any mistake, saying, well, that's a tin of figs. Lovely. They sort of grate a little bit as you shake them, you see. And we never had any complaints at all. But we were looking through the manifest one day, and we found that in the strong room, which was way down under low water, there were 5 pink mink fur coats going to Harrods. They were trial or sample coats. I happened to mention this to the dolly bird in the sloop at the time, and she couldn't do enough for us from that day on. When are you going to bring out these fur coats, you see? Well, it was quite a job to get at them, but when we did get down there, we found that they were in plastic zip bags. And not only did the bags hold fur coats, but it also held a mass of fuel oil as well. Black, sticky, stinking fuel oil. So we brought these out on deck, we hung them up on their hangers on the rail and said, now there you are, there's about 20,000 pounds worth of fur coat. Who was going to throw them overboard? So I had to. I just chucked them overboard, you see. And we sort of felt very, very sick about this. But it was only about 2 years after I was telling a farrier about this, and he said, tell me again. He said, why were you worried about them being in fuel oil? I said, well, we don't have fur coats in fuel oil. He said, you do, you know. He said, we clean fur in fuel oil. He said, mind you, the fuel oil has to be purified, but he said, we could have brought those back to as good as new.
So you threw away?
So when I look back, yeah, I threw away 5 pink mink, whatever they are, beautiful sample fur coats. Just chucked them over. They're out here somewhere, or they were.
But the most fascinating wreck off the entire southwest coast slid down to the seabed here almost 200 years ago. And it has tantalized treasure hunters ever since. Its identity is obscure, but it is undoubtedly Spanish. For silver dollars minted in Spain began to regularly wash up on the beach, causing such excitement that the name of the place changed by popular usage. It became known as Dollar Cove. Countless attempts have been made over the years to get at the dollars, but no one even succeeded in locating the precise position of the wreck, until Roland Morris took up the challenge. 7 years of patient research and a little luck finally yielded the answer. He decides to fling all his resources into an attempt to prize the dollars out of the sea and gathers his team to plan the assault.
So what do you reckon about it? I reckon it's sand and, well, we just want fine weather.
There was a big current there yesterday.
Yeah. She went ashore in 1787, and they first started working on trying to find the dollars in 1845. And there was a story of a lady who woke up one night and had a sort of dream that she must go down to the cove. She went down with a bucket and she filled it half full. This is a story, no reason why it shouldn't be. And I think the last one was found about 30 years ago. The museum or two around here have got them, and I'm quite sure that people do find them now and again.
Have you ever seen one?
My dear boy. Boys, have you ever seen one?
No.
Sure?
I've never seen one off that wreck.
No.
You haven't, you?
$1 from the dollar wreck. Now, how's that?
That's lovely.
That's a beauty.
Isn't that beautiful? What's the date now? 1764, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 64. You can definitely.
Now, they have a silky feeling, don't they?
They do, yeah.
The parochial records, the church records of Cornwall, say there are 2 tons of those down there. 2.5 tons. Doesn't get the half ton. I've known about it ever since I was a baby. I mean, the dollar wreck where people go down at 4 o'clock in the morning still do. You see footprints that if you went down, have you ever been down at 4 o'clock?
No.
What? I think I saw some footprints of yours once.
I know.
Because I went down at 3:30 once.
Jingle, jingle.
I mean, you still see footprints. You should come down a bit now.
Come down a bit.
Knowing exactly where the dollar wreck lies, however, is no guarantee of success. The problem is sand. Hundreds of thousands of tons of sand. Storms pile it on the site and sometimes take it away.
That's good enough, you know.
Okay.
Yes.
Recently, the direction of the wind has not been favorable. Roland decides to attack with explosives in quantity.
Hold it by that line.
Okay. Yeah.
What's it like?
The rock's covered. I don't even know where it is.
Good.
I put my hand through it. The other rocks are showing, the bigger ones.
Oh, the bigger
but
one.
But that outer rock, the flatter one, that's totally covered.
Disappeared.
This means that with the outer rock showing, which is our only mark that we are possible to take, the rise and fall of sand, that as far as this summer is concerned, we'll have to pack it in. It's ridiculous to go on. We know by the cove itself, the sand is built up, but since last October, it's continually built up.
What about explosives? I mean, couldn't you put
explosives?
a really big charge?
Well, explosives, I could explode right now. I could blow myself up because, you know, I'm not going to say it's hopeless by any means. No fear. We don't say it's hopeless, but by God, we've used explosives by the ton. I don't know. It's very disheartening if you really got down to the nitty-gritty.
You're not going to give up?
Oh, no, God, no. That would be terrible. You said defeat just now. It's not a defeat, really. It's a delay. The sea is using delaying tactics, there you are. It does everything it possibly can to thwart you.
During the winter, when diving is not possible, Roland visits Dollar Cove after every storm to try and gauge the sand levels. In his line of work, patience is an essential virtue. But then another entirely unexpected factor occurs.
So if there's any messages, you know where to send them. Right. Will you drive down? Yeah.
The Cornish National Trust hear about Roland's bid to recover the dollars. They own the estate, which includes Dollar Cove, and they've come across evidence of certain feudal rights.
In days gone by, I've got used to the enemies that one met in diving. The sea itself, of course, enemy number one. And what an enemy. Gales, shifting sand, poor visibility, the lot. But would you believe it? Over the western horizon has appeared another enemy, accompanied by bombast, hard words, threats, the lot.
Go on.
The Cornish National Trust, believe it or not. People who are supposed to dispense light and goodwill, good cheer, help you here, help you there. And they have stopped me working this wreck. They are claiming ancient rights, the ancient wreck rights of 15 or the 16th century. Now I ask you.
Well, are they still valid, those rights?
In no way are they, of course not. I certainly don't recognize them.
Michael Trennick is the head of the National Trust in Cornwall.
Do you have this particular right with other estates?
No, not in this form, because it is a very special one. It's not just the right of wreck cast on the foreshore, it's the right to any wreck which is within the range of a barrel floating in the sea as you stand on the cliff and look at it. We'll have to cast a barrel in to see how far we can see it.
So this particular right, which is vested in this manner, has unfortunately led to a dispute, has it not?
It has, but I think it need not.
How did it arise from your side?
Simply that we heard that Mr. Morris was having a go at this wreck, and we reminded him that the Trust had this peculiar and historic right.
And the way they set about it, just about upscud everything that we've been doing. Upscud is a Cornish word for buggering up, if you like. They sent me a letter out of the blue from their solicitors saying that they would take out an injunction in the High Court if I ever went near this wreck again.
That was the first communication?
That was the first communication. A pleasant, very pleasant way of dealing business, you know.
He felt that
we were being unnecessarily pernickety, and I think he also thought that we were after a large share of the loot. Well, that is not the case. We're much more interested in the history of it. We would like to see him recover it.
How large a share of the loot are you after?
We don't know, because we have no idea what sort of money we're talking about. His information is much better than ours on this subject. But the trust is a charity. We would like to see a small sum. But certainly not anything of the order of 50%, which I understand has been talked about.
These people are trying to claim the rights of a wreck that is sunk, out of sight. The Lord of the Manor could never have got that. He had no divers in those days. They grapnelled if the vessel was above or on hard sea bed. But here you have 12 to 18 feet of moving sand. Nothing worse than that for a salver.
One of the conditions that you laid down before a meeting could be arranged was that he reveal the precise location of the wreck.
Yes. Well, I think that's a fair enough condition to lay down, because, for one thing, we have to know whether it's in the distance this barrel floats from the shore, don't we?
They sent me a questionnaire and all, how old was he, why was I born, who was my mother, and all that sort of thing. But, which I ignored. But they wanted to know, and question number one, please give us a detailed description of where the wreck is lying. Me, to tell strangers, foreigners they are, to me, where the wreck is lying. 200 years people have been spending money and searching and being half drowned, finding it, trying to find it. So I said, right, that's the end of it. Let them have it, and let's see what a mess they'll make of it. Let them spend some money on it. We've been working on this off and on, when the weather permits, for 10 years.
You see, one of the other conditions we are keen about is that if interesting things turn up, not just silver dollars, but other things, that some of them, at any rate, should stay in Cornwall in some museum where they can be seen, and not all sold.
Well, Mr. Morris has a splendid record in that direction. He has a museum.
He also has regular sales, and there's no indication that the things in his museum will not be sold.
Yes, so he's also restored the second Hamilton collection of pottery to the nation.
Yes, I think that's a very noble act. I give him full marks for that.
Would you say that Mr. Morris's attitude has been unreasonable?
I think it's been erratic. But then he's that sort of chap. He's a buccaneering sort of fellow, and you don't expect him to give you a reasonable answer always.
And has the National Trust's part in it been gentle?
Polite, but tough, yes.
He says, you see, that you have threatened him with an injunction.
Yes, we have done that. That was just to bring him to heel, and they hoped that we could talk.
As far as I'm concerned, they can go to hell and high water.
I would like to see him first in the field. He's done a lot of the field work. But there are a number of other people who are ready to step in if he decides not to.
When those dollars come out of that wreck down there, and we know pretty well where they are, it's not going to be any credit to the National Trust. Let me really well tell you that. They're going to come in to my museum in Penzance, brought up by my own boys, dollars like that, real silver Mexican dollars.
Roland, are those from the dollar wreck?
That's a question I would rather not answer, if you don't mind.